Welcome to FootballGameplan.com, where football makes sense. I'm Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook, bring you our 2013 CFL West semifinal preview between the BC Lions and the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Now let's take a look at some keys to victory for both teams, starting with the Lions.
Who's going to be the quarterback is the biggest question the Lions have to answer, whether or not it's Buck Pierce, Thomas DeMarco, or his all-star Travis Lulay fully ready to go on the road in the cold and play well versus the Riders. The one constant has been the play of the skill positions, however. You look at running back Andrew Harris. He has put together a fine season, falling 2 yards short of 1,000 yards and averaging 5 yards a carry, and also hauling in over 60 receptions for over 500 yards. And when you look at wide receiver Nick Moore, he enjoyed a breakout campaign, becoming the team's leading receiver with 73 receptions for over 1,100 yards and 6 touchdowns. Now up front will be the biggest test. In 3 games this year versus the Riders, the Lions' offensive line has given up 10 sacks and they have struggled to run the ball. Now, I'm a big fan of the Lions defense. The talent is evident at every level, and this week versus Saskatchewan, heavy emphasis will be put on the front 7 led by defensive linemen Karan Williams and Eric Taylor. You look at the linebacking core with Adam Bighill and Solomon Elimian to shut down the Riders' ground game with Corey Sheets. Now, in the secondary, there is a bunch of savvy vets that will mostly have to stay alert for the crossers, the double moves off play action pass, as that's a big part of what the Riders do offensively. The Lions have to combo cover or bracket big play threat Weston Dressler in the slot. Now we'll look for a guy like Lynn J. Shell to mirror him at the line of scrimmage and passing him off to the deep safeties in order for the Leos to have success defensively. Now let's move over to the Rough Riders in this ball game, and it's been the tale of 2 seasons. They were 8-1 in the first half and 3-6 down the stretch. And offensively speaking, it's mostly due to the turnovers. They have to be able to protect the football versus BC. Now this week versus the Lions, I'll look for the Riders to go more efficient than explosive. Efficient in running the football or going with the quick pass on first down, and going the opposite on second down. Now they have the talent along the offensive line to get it done. And in all honesty, that's the biggest battle on offense I believe they have to win. They have to win the battle in the trenches in order to be successful on offense versus BC. Now on the defensive side of the football, despite the rash of injuries that plagued the back end, the Riders were still able to maintain its stoutness and consistency throughout the course of the season. The run defense was only giving up 93 yards a game. Opposing quarterbacks were only completing 58% of their passes, which was first in the CFL, and they only gave up 21 points a game, which was also first, and they finished second in the league in sacks with 54. Guys that were playing some great football, you look at safety Tyrone Brackenridge, linebackers Weldon Brown and also Craig Butler. They were playing lights out. Now the depth within that defensive line is also impressive. The Riders do a great job in getting interior pressure with defensive tackle Terrius George, who frees up one-on-one opportunities on the outside for defensive ends John Chick and Ricky Foley. Now here are some coaching points for both teams in this ball game. For BC, you want to make the Riders one-dimensional. A balanced Rough Riders football team is a tough one to beat, so you want to take away Corey Sheets in that ground game and put it all on the right arm of Darian Durant to make plays consistently throwing the football. And you have to be able to win in the red zone on both sides of the ball. That offense of BC has to be able to put up touchdowns versus this Rough Riders defense. And on defense, you have to be able to keep these guys out of the end zone. You want to trade 3s for 7s. And it goes without saying, along that offensive line, they have to protect the quarterback. Whomever is going to be back there, you have to keep him well protected in order to have a shot offensively. Now for Saskatchewan in this ball game, you have to remember why you were 8-1. You were executing flawlessly. Darian Durant was protecting the football. The ground game was in sync with the passing game, and they were doing a lot of great things on defense. And they're still playing stout defense, but you have to get back to what you were doing in the first half of the season. And the linebackers have to be alert for the screen game. I'm pretty sure BC will help out their offensive line and try to ease some of that pressure that the Riders will bring by utilizing the screen game and Andrew Harris. So the linebackers have to be alert, and the defensive line must win up front. That's the battle that they have the advantage. They have to win those battles throughout the course of the game in order to have success. The X factor for the Lions in this ball game, I've talked about it throughout the course of the video, will be their offensive line. Like I said before, in the 3 games they faced versus Saskatchewan, they had problems running the football and also protecting the quarterback. If they show up to play, BC is very tough to beat. And the X factor for the Riders will be their special teams unit, which has shown some leakage in the last couple of weeks. They have to play a sound game in the kicking game. The return units, the coverage units have to bring their A game in order to have a chance to knock off BC at home. Joe Kapp is one of the greatest quarterbacks in CFL history. Here's a guy from 1961 to 1966, led the BC Lions to 2 Grey Cup appearances, winning one in 1964, and he led the league in passing 4 years in a row from 1962 to 1965, and was a 2-time All-West quarterback performer and a 2-time All-Canadian quarterback, and he's also in the CFL Hall of Fame. George Reed was one of the best running backs in pro football history regardless of leagues. He played his entire career in Saskatchewan from 1963 to 1975, where he was a 9-time All-CFL performer, won the CFL MVP award in 1965, and finished his career with over 16,000 yards rushing, which made him the pro football all-time rushing leader up until Walter Payton and Emmitt Smith surpassed him, and he also finished his Rough Rider career with 134 rushing touchdowns. I like Saskatchewan in this ballgame. They can dominate on both sides of the line of scrimmage, and they can run the football very well with arguably the best back in the game in Corey Sheets. And I do believe Darian Durant will protect the football, and they'll avoid those critical mistakes that plagued them throughout the course of the latter part of the season. And plus, BC's defense is very tough, but their offense will put these guys in a bind. I don't think that offensive line can hold up, so I like Saskatchewan to move on to the West Finals. And I also want to give a special shout out to all the CFL fan forums that always show football game plan support.